Hey everyone. So we've got to do it. We've got to talk about twin flames. This is a term that deeply resonates with a lot of people nowadays. But unfortunately, there's a few misconceptions out there that are holding people back, not only along their connection journey, but along their personal journey as well. So let's dive into what some of those misconceptions are and how you can take yourself to your highest and greatest place. For anybody who hasn't seen my face before, hi, I'm Elizabeth Blackwell from Blissful Home and Body. And I've spent well over the last decade of my life studying everything that I could so that I could help others set sacred space and help them to their highest and greatest selves. So let's get started. Chances are that if you're here, that you've heard the term twin flame before, and this is something that you resonate with. But the first thing that I want to dive into is a basic definition of a twin flame, because unfortunately, it's one of where the biggest misconceptions tends to come in. So the basic definition of a twin flame is there at some point in time was one soul. And it has now, at this point in time on Earth, incarnated into two separate bodies, usually defined as masculine and feminine. And remember, that has nothing to do with biological gender, but the energy to which one resonates with. But one of the largest misconceptions within the twin flame community is that this one soul has split and that now they are two halves to a whole, which is not true. How I like to look at it is when you think in terms of reincarnation. This is the idea that you are here on this earth now, a complete and perfect being. But at some previous point in time, you were in existence as a complete and perfect being at a different point in time. And the souls were not on earth at the same time. Within the twin flame phenomena, which I'm actually going to call it a phenomena, because the fact that as many people are experiencing this now as there are is completely awesome, but also can bring a lot of hurt and trauma. So the idea that you have split into two separate beings is wrong. You are both perfect, complete, beautiful souls. You've just incarnated onto the earth at the same time. And so I'm going to use the law of attraction here, because it's not that you are half of a soul until you come in together with union. It is the fact that you have one soul resonancy. Your soul has the same vibration as this other individual, and like attracts like. So when you meet or in somehow become aware of this other individual, there will naturally be a magnetism to bring you two together. But you're not half of a whole. You yourself are a perfect and whole, complete being, regardless of whether or not you are in union with your twin flame. The second misconception that I want to address is that you will know when you're on a twin flame journey based upon when you experience ... No. There is no specific rule book for knowing if you're on a twin flame path. The only person that can truly determine if you are within a twin flame connection is you, and then potentially your twin flame partner. But one of my issues within this community is that individuals go through a twin flame journey of their own. And then They want to stand on a platform and say, this is how you go through it. Well, there is no one prescribed way to go on a journey. There's 1,000 different routes that you can take to get from point A to point B. And you cannot know if you're on a twin flame journey based upon anyone else's experiences. And the way, again, I like to look at this is that it is a potential. Again, there's no rule book for any of this, that you and your twin flame have incarnated into two separate bodies over many previous lifetimes. So each of your souls is continuing to go along that journey. And you may need to learn different lessons or have different experiences, but there is no definition to say that you are on a twin flame journey. Now, there tends to be some similarities. The only one that I absolutely prescribe to is that upon meeting or becoming aware of a potential twin flame, is that it will spark growth within you. Because when you're coming into union, or before you can come into union, both of you need to, we're just going to say, level up. That you have to go through a soul's journey in order to come to a place, in order for you to come into union. But there is no specifics that says whether or not you are on this journey. Only you can truly determine that. This next misconception may actually trigger a few people, but it's something that I believe if people would embrace sooner, that they would actually find themselves in union more quickly, which is there is this misconception that you and your twin flame must come together in union. No. Again, this goes back to the fact that you yourself are a perfect and whole being, and you have every ability to be fulfilled and happy here on this earth, standing on your own. That is one of the core lessons that our souls need to learn, that we are going through our own journey and that we have to learn about ourselves, go through those experiences, and have that complete path in order to come into union with this twin flame. And so I think a lot of people try to force growth because they tell themselves, well, when I get through this, when I go through the growth that I need to, then I can come into union. Well, yes and no. You want to go through that growth because it's what your soul needs to experience. And you need to know that you yourself are perfect and complete as you are, regardless of whether or not you are in union. So when you start to embrace that fact, it actually helps to speed up the journey because you're no longer depending upon that growth in order to get you to this next point. You're doing that growth because it completes you, not because it will bring you into union. But the bright side to this is when you go through that growth and you embrace that principle that you yourself are a complete and beautiful being, and that your flame themselves is a complete and beautiful being on their own journey, that when you two come to this completion point, and actually I don't even like to use the word completion because even once together, you still have more to go through. But when you get to that point, that then you will come together in union. So I have 2 misconceptions left to address. And this next one is kind of more of a cautionary thing, which is there is a misconception that because you identify as on a twin flame journey, that once you come into union, that everything will be perfect and harmonious. Not necessarily. I do believe that that is the path for most of the individuals, but I want to put out a cautionary thing that all souls need to continue to grow even once together in union. So just because you have found yourself in a twin flame connection and are now together in union, and again, twin flames can come together in union and break apart, come together and break apart. It is kind of part of that journey. So if you come together with the individual who you believe is your twin flame, that doesn't mean that you should then step over any potential toxic traits or things along those lines. That you want to be aware of the fact that just because you're on a twin flame journey does not mean that once you're in union, everything is going to be perfect. That there is still growth that both of you need to go through, and make sure that you are continuing to set up your beliefs, your boundaries, all of those things, so that you allow your soul to continue to grow and flourish and be fulfilled. For the last misconception, it is this idea that a twin flame connection is what represents a perfect soul union, and that everyone desires to be on that journey. No, stop it. If you do not believe that you are currently on a twin flame path, don't wish yourself to be there. It's somewhat one of those buzzwords that is picked up within the spiritual community, that actually twin flame paths tend to be fraught with chaos and trauma and issues, that heartbreak, that it would actually be much simpler to have a soulmate that perfectly complements you, as opposed to a twin flame which perfectly mirrors you. So this idea that a twin flame connection is a perfect connection is just not true. So if you're not on one, don't wish yourself there. That there are other ways for your soul to grow, and it would actually simpler ways for your soul to experience things and have beautiful connections without it necessarily being a twin flame journey. I deeply hope that this video served you well. If it did, please hit that like button, as it really does help out small channels like this. And if you resonate with me and my messages, please think about subscribing and joining the community. So with that, I will say that I am sending you so much light and love, my friends, and I hope you all are staying well.